Hello, everyone. My name is Ramin, and today, I want to take you on a journey. A journey about how I, a simple village boy with no resources, no teachers, no big libraries, managed to learn English fluently. And believe it or not, I practiced English with my donkey, Pasha. I know what you're thinking. How can a village boy with no fancy schools or materials become fluent? And I understand, because I used to think the same. But I promise, if I can do it, so can you. Let's dive in together, and I'll show you every struggle, every funny moment, and every victory on my path to becoming an English speaker. So let's go, come with me. My early dream and determination. When I was young, English was like a distant mountain to me, something that seemed huge and impossible to reach. I lived in a small, quiet village where everyone spoke only my native language. People in my village didn't understand why I wanted to learn English. They would say, "Ramin, what good is English here? You're not going to England." But I had a dream, a big one. I wanted to be part of something beyond my village. I wanted to connect with people around the world, work in a big company, and speak English fluently. I knew it would be hard, but I was ready. So, with nothing more than an old radio and my loyal donkey, I started my journey. 8 challenges I faced and how I overcame them. Let me share with you 8 big challenges I faced, and how I overcame each one with creativity, persistence, and sometimes a good laugh. No English teachers or classes. In my village, there was no such thing as an English teacher. I couldn't afford to move to the city to study, so I had to find other ways. My first teacher? The radio. I would sit for hours trying to catch English broadcasts. Sometimes the signal would cut out, and I'd only catch pieces of conversations. But every word was a treasure. I'd repeat sentences to myself like, "How are you?" and "Good morning." With Pasha beside me, I'd practice over and over, even if the meaning wasn't fully clear yet. No learning materials. Imagine wanting to learn a language but having no books or internet. One day, I found an old, tattered dictionary in a corner of the village shop. It was missing many pages, but I clung to it like gold. Every day, I learned one new word. I wrote it on pieces of scrap paper and taped them to the walls of my house. Hello on one wall, goodbye on the other. My room became my English classroom, and Pasha would stand outside my window, watching me practice with great interest. Mockery and discouragement from neighbors. People laughed at me. They would say, "There goes Ramin, talking to animals again." But I didn't let it bother me. My donkey, Pasha, became my conversation partner. I'd walk with him in the fields and say things like, "Good morning, Pasha. How do you feel today?" I'd answer for him in English too, saying, "I am fine, thank you." I knew it sounded silly, but it was my way of practicing, and it was fun. Lack of time. Life in the village was busy. I had chores from sunrise to sunset, from tending to the fields to feeding the animals. But I was determined. I created a secret study time. Every night, after my family went to sleep, I'd sneak outside, sit under the stars, and repeat English phrases to myself. My family thought I was sleeping, but I was actually whispering English words to the moon and the stars. No one to practice with. The biggest challenge in my village was finding someone to talk to in English. So I created a fake audience. I'd imagine myself in front of a classroom speaking to people. Sometimes I'd even put on a little performance for the animals on our farm. I'd say, "Hello, my friends. Today we will learn about colors." The chickens, the goats, and of course Pasha became my imaginary audience. Struggling with pronunciation. Pronunciation was a huge problem. I didn't know if I was saying things right. But I found a solution. I'd record myself speaking into an old recorder that I borrowed from my cousin. I'd listen to my voice and compare it to the voices on the radio. I'd repeat the words until my voice matched what I heard. And Pasha was my judge. If he looked confused, I'd practice more, feeling isolated and alone in my learning. Sometimes I felt alone. No one in the village shared my goal, and I wondered if I was crazy. But I found support in an unexpected place. One day I met a traveler who spoke a little English. I introduced myself and managed to have a very basic conversation. He told me, "Keep going. You're doing great." Those words gave me the strength to continue. It felt like a message from the universe. Doubt and fear of failure. Often I'd think, what if I never make it? What if I'm wasting my time? But every time I had these doubts, I'd go outside, look at the fields, and think, if the plants can grow from tiny seeds, then my English skills can grow, too. I learned to believe in my progress, however small it seemed. 5 learning methods that helped me succeed. Now, let me share the 5 strategies that made all the difference in my learning journey. Talking to Pasha, my donkey. You might laugh, but Pasha became my best practice buddy. I'd talk to him every day in English. I'd say, "Pasha, let's go, and look, there's a nice green field." I'd even have entire conversations, pretending he was answering me. It made me feel less lonely and gave me the confidence to speak freely. Flashcards and homemade posters. I made flashcards from anything I could find. Sometimes they were little pieces of paper. Sometimes they were leaves. I'd write English words on one side and my native language on the other. Every day I'd quiz myself, even while working. I even started to think in English sometimes, seeing the words in my mind. Practicing in front of a mirror. Speaking to myself in the mirror was another trick I used. I'd look into my own eyes and say, "Hello, my name is Ramin. Nice to meet you." It felt silly, but it helped me get used to speaking out loud. Plus, it helped me build the confidence to look people in the eye when speaking. Recording myself. The recorder became my second best friend. Every day, I'd record myself speaking, listen back, and try to improve. It was like my private teacher. Whenever I listened to my own voice, I realized what needed fixing, and I'd try to say it better the next time. Watching old movies on my cousin's TV. Whenever I visited my cousin, I'd watch English movies with subtitles. I'd read along and try to understand the words. Sometimes I didn't understand much, but I'd memorize phrases. "How are you?" "I'm fine." I'd bring those phrases back to the village and practice them every day with Pasha. How Pasha and I became famous. One day, my cousin recorded a video of me talking to Pasha in English. We uploaded it to the internet just for fun, never expecting what would happen next. People found it funny and inspiring, and soon it went viral. The village boy who teaches English to a donkey, that's what they called me. People from all over started following my story, and some even offered me jobs. I was amazed. From village boy to working professional. Today, I work in a big company. I talk to people from around the world, and every day I remember how it all began with a donkey, a dream, and the belief that I could achieve anything with hard work. So, if you ever doubt yourself, just remember my story. If a village boy with nothing but a donkey can learn English, then you too can achieve your dreams. Don't give up and never stop believing in yourself. Ramin's recommendations for learning English. So now, my friends, I want to share with you some of the techniques and ideas that helped me. These aren't tricks from a book, they're things I've tested and used myself. I hope these tips inspire you to keep going and help you on your own English journey. Speak out loud, even if you're alone. One of the biggest challenges is finding the confidence to speak English. I know it can feel strange, but the best way to learn to speak confidently is by actually speaking. Don't just think the words in your head, say them out loud. It's okay if you're alone. I practiced with my donkey, so if I can do it, you can, too. Start with simple sentences. For example, every morning, look in the mirror and say, "Good morning. How are you today? Today, I'm going to learn 3 new words." Just hearing your own voice in English will build your confidence. Trust me, it's like building a muscle. The more you speak out loud, the stronger your speaking skills will become. Use real-life vocabulary. One mistake I made in the beginning was learning words that didn't really help me speak day to day. I'd memorize lists from my dictionary without thinking about how I'd use them. So here's what I learned. Start with vocabulary that you can use in your daily life. For example, if you work on a farm, learn words like field, animals, planting, and harvesting. If you work in a shop, learn words like customer, price, sale, and discount. Using words that are relevant to you makes learning more fun and meaningful. Think about your day and choose 10 words that describe it. Practice those words, make sentences with them, and use them every day. Before you know it, they'll feel natural. Focus on phrases, not just words. When I started, I focused too much on individual words. But then I realized it's easier to learn phrases instead. Phrases give you a whole idea in one go, and they're easier to remember. Here are some examples of useful phrases to get started. How's it going? Can you help me? I'm looking for. Nice to meet you. If you practice whole phrases, you won't feel nervous about speaking. You'll be able to say sentences right away, and this will help you sound more fluent. Think of phrases as building blocks. With a few good blocks, you can create great conversations. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, learn from them. I'll tell you a secret. I made thousands of mistakes when I started speaking English. And do you know what? I still make mistakes. But I've learned that mistakes are the best teachers. If you say something wrong, don't feel embarrassed. Just remember that each mistake is one step closer to being fluent. Whenever I made a mistake, I'd write it down in my notebook. Then practice saying the correct sentence. Here's a little exercise. Every time you make a mistake, write it down. Write the correct sentence next to it. Read both versions aloud to understand the difference. By looking at your mistakes and learning from them, you'll make faster progress. Remember, confidence doesn't mean being perfect. It means being brave enough to try. Use simple grammar to start and build from there. Grammar can feel complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Start with simple structures and practice them every day. For example, master sentences like, I am, you are, he is. Once you're comfortable with those, move on to the next level, like talking about things you did in the past. I went to the market. She ate lunch. And then practice the future tense. I will learn English. We will speak confidently. My advice is to practice speaking grammar rather than just reading about it. Think about what you want to say in a simple way and say it. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Keep going, keep trying, and you'll get better each time. Create your own English corner at home. You don't need a fancy classroom to learn English. I created my own English corner in my room. I hung up little papers with vocabulary words and sentences. It felt like stepping into a classroom every day, even though I was just in my home. Here's how you can make your own English corner. Choose a small space where you study. Hang up words, phrases, and even pictures that remind you of the words. Stand there and practice for 10 minutes every day. Creating an English corner helps you stay motivated. It reminds you of your goal, even on days when you feel tired or frustrated. Find ways to immerse yourself in English. One of the biggest challenges in my village was that no one spoke English. But I found ways to create my own little English world. For example, I listened to English radio stations. I borrowed English books from anyone I could find. I even made friends online who wanted to practice English. The more English you surround yourself with, the faster you'll learn. So even if you don't have people to speak to, create an English world around you. Listen to English music, watch English videos, and read English stories. Make English a part of your life. Practice English in real-life scenarios. Try to practice English in situations that feel real. This makes learning fun and builds confidence. I used to pretend I was talking to someone important. I'd say, hello, my name is Ramin. How can I help you? Practicing like this made me feel more prepared for real conversations. Here are some scenarios you can practice. Ordering food at a restaurant, can I have? Or, I'd like. Asking for directions. Excuse me, where is? Introducing yourself. Hi, my name is. These exercises help you feel like you're actually using English in real life, and this makes learning exciting. Be consistent, practice every day, even if it's just 10 minutes. Consistency is your best friend. Learning English doesn't happen in one day, 1 week, or even 1 month. It's a journey. But if you practice a little bit every day, you'll improve faster than you think. Some days, I only practiced for 10 minutes, but I never missed a day. Set small goals, like learning 1 new word or practicing 1 sentence every day. It may not seem like much, but over time, these little efforts add up. Remember, the key to learning English is to keep going, even on days when you feel like giving up. Always remember your why. Finally, my friends, remember why you started learning English. Whenever I felt tired or discouraged, I reminded myself of my dream. I wanted to connect with the world, to find new opportunities, and to prove to myself that I could achieve something big. Find your why. Maybe you want a better job, maybe you want to travel, or maybe you just love learning. Whatever your reason, hold on to it tightly. When learning feels hard, let your reason motivate you to keep going. I promise, if you stay dedicated, you'll achieve more than you ever imagined. Wrapping up the journey. So, there you have it, my best tips and advice for learning English. These methods may seem simple, but they work. They helped a village boy with no resources become fluent, and they can help you too. Remember, confidence comes from practice. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to keep trying. Now, my friends, go out there and make English your own. Speak, laugh, make mistakes, and celebrate every little success. And someday, I hope to hear your story of how you learned English.